Where can you meet a quality or interesting woman? This is a common complaint that I hear from men, particularly with online dating. So, in this video, I'm going to share with you some alternatives to online dating, places where you can meet women that don't require you swiping left or right and that don't leave you unread. The worst, isn't it? Make sure you hang around to the end of the video to hear where not to meet women and also how to get the biggest bang for your buck before you start checking your local listings. Let's get into it. 20 places where you can meet quality, interesting women. Classes and educational opportunities. Number two, cafes, especially the kind of cafes where maybe there's internet and people like to go and work on their computers to get away from their homes, or something with live music where people sit back and are a little bit more interactive with the community there. Number three, libraries. Where are my introverts at? If you're more of a quiet person, more reflective or introspective, especially depending on where you live and how big the library is, small town is probably going to make it harder, if we're being honest. But in a city like Chicago, something like that, the library is huge and potentially a lot of opportunity to meet some people that you find very interesting, especially if you're both hanging out in the same section, like adult literature, personal growth and development, something like that. Piggybacking off the library, you could also do the bookstore. Same concept, especially if you have a bookstore where there's like a coffee bar, something like that. People like to hang out and just read. Number five, mutual friends. This can be a really great way to meet people who naturally might just vibe with you a little bit easier. Plus, they can vouch for the character and the integrity of the person that you might be interested in. Number six, business and networking events. If you are someone who's really passionate about your career, maybe that's your only interest, then it might just be easier and more worthwhile for you to meet someone in a setting where you have some common interests that relate to your career, particularly people that you don't see on a daily basis at the place that you work at. Number seven, this goes hand in hand with networking events, but professional development courses. There are a lot of classes for professional development that are available over Zoom now, and you never know who you might meet in one of those settings. Maybe they live far away, but if you just really click and it's right in all the other ways, maybe it's worth it. You never know. Number eight, gaming groups. My introverts, the ones that like to stay home and play video games or online gaming. Number nine, trivia nights. There are a lot of local places. Sometimes they are bars where they host trivia nights, but just because a trivia night is in a bar doesn't mean that you have to drink. Number 10, sports leagues. If you're an athletic person, there are plenty of social gatherings that are not meant to be professional, but just to have fun and enjoy the same hobbies or activities. Number 11, local Facebook groups where people get together in person to pursue their hobbies or interests together. You might even be able to find something really obscure if you have a unique interest. Number 12, dance classes. But hear me out on this one. Often, what happens in the dance classes, there is a shortage of heterosexual men. There are plenty of single women who love to dance, who go join dance classes and need partners. You never know who you might meet. Number 13, martial arts classes. I've actually heard of quite a few people meeting partners in martial arts classes. It's fun. It's a great way to build healthy boundaries together. Just know that there is the potential for a little bit of a disaster with that, depending on what your temperament is. So keep that in mind before you utilize that option. I'm kind of joking, but also kind of not. It really does depend on the person. Number 14, music stores. It's a great opportunity to interact with other people who have similar interests. Number 15, you can check your local community for crafting nights. Usually, when guys do show up at those events, they're usually on a date because the woman wants to go. Number 16, coffee shops. Again, similar to cafes, Number 17, shopping malls. A lot of people go to malls and just wander around. They like to socialize, they like to people watch, especially if you're in the food court area, some type of lounge area. There is potential there depending on how you go about it. Number 18, maybe you're more of an outdoorsy person. Hiking groups. So a lot of people who enjoy hiking are looking for others, platonic or romantic, that they can enjoy that hobby with. Number 19, community events. Most communities do host communal gatherings with some sort of a focus, movie nights, dancing, meet some of the locals. And finally, number 20, whether you are more religious or more spiritual, there are church and spiritual gatherings. If that is something that's really important to you, you never know. You might meet someone that you share a lot of core values with at one of these events. Definitely worth looking into. Now that we've gone through 20 places that you can meet women, it's so common to hear these lists and then to do nothing with it. And if you do nothing with it, nothing changes. So if you know where you can go to meet women, but you're not doing it, be really honest with yourself. What's stopping you? And work on that. Is it anxiety? Is it the fear of approaching women? Is it just not knowing how to make conversation with women? Is it something with your confidence or not feeling good enough for the type of women that you're interested in? Let me know in the comments below what it is for you. Now, I want to share with you one secret to attracting a woman that you would find quality or interesting. Obviously, that's very subjective. A lot of the women that men tell me they find quality or interesting, those women are attracted to men who are committed and practicing some form of personal development. Doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual or religious, but just men that are very focused on learning, growing, getting better at the things that they want to be good at and who they want to become. Just means developing yourself into someone that you're proud of. And that brings me to my next point, which is the best place to go to meet women. Because what people value and find interesting is so personal, the best place that you can go is somewhere that caters to your interests and your passion. Something that you want to be good at or get better at. But developing yourself into a person you're proud of is one of the easiest ways to meet someone that you naturally have sparks with. Chemistry. Chemistry fuels attraction. And then, of course, you need a place where there are also plenty of people. If there's only a handful of people there, it is going to be harder. However, not impossible. When you go to these places, notice, who do you feel the spark with? Pay attention to that. Go out on a limb. Ask them out on a date. Even if it seems impractical, don't let probability versus possibility hold you back. A lot of people struggle to meet someone that they spark with. If you meet someone that you do spark with, it's worth the risk of rejection. And finally, 5 places not to meet women. It's not that you can't, you can. They just wouldn't be at the top of the list or maybe the best places to do it. They're riskier. Number 1, bars and dance clubs. And the reason I say this is because most people, when they talk about wanting to find something deeper with another person, they find that drinking and partying, that kind of lifestyle, prevents that and holds them back. So it might not be the best place to meet someone if you're looking for something deeper, something more meaningful to you. Number 2, grocery stores. I know this is a common suggestion. However, there are a lot of women that don't like being bothered at the grocery store. I'm not saying you can't, but what I would say is really look for signs of interest before you utilize that one. Most women, when they go to the grocery store, they're just trying to get in and out really fast and don't want to be bothered. Number 3, parking lots and parks. And the reason I put this on here is because it is surprising how many men approach women in these kinds of settings. If you're not aware of this, it makes women very uncomfortable because it's secluded. They're oftentimes alone. There's not a lot of other people around. It just doesn't feel safe. Number 4, gyms. This one might be surprising for some of you because there are a lot of people that do meet wonderful partners at gyms. It's not that you can't. It's just that I would be a little bit more cautious with this one because although I haven't seen this firsthand, I have heard stories about, I hate to say this, but women who are kind of creating like thirst traps, trying to record men and catch them checking them out on video camera, and then they're posting it to social media. I understand why some men are frustrated with modern dating. So I would just say, know your environment. Number 5, work settings. Specifically work settings where you share the same employer. You're probably bound by HR rules. When your ability to survive gets mixed up with who you're dating, or it's an everyday situation, you got to go in and see that person, whether it works or doesn't work. It can be challenging. So this is where I kind of make it a differentiation between like professional development courses, business, networking events. That's one thing because you don't share the same employer. A work setting where you see each other every day, all the time, that can get tricky. That's it for today's video. I'll see you guys next time. Number 5, work. It's so much harder, especially if you are a more physical person. Sometimes there's music. Baby,